My God. I know what you're going to say. You're going to say, where have you been? Where have you been? What's the videos? I've been dealing with, you know, I don't want to say dealing with life. But, let me just pre-warn you. This video is probably going to feel a bit different because I've really put it off. Oh, I can feel my anxiety. My anxiety. I put it off because I thought, do I write bullet points of roughly what I want to say? Do I say this? Do I say that? And then I'm like, oh God. You know, you say it out loud. It's real, isn't it? My face isn't hella greasy, by the way, because I just did like some crazy skincare routine because I'm spotty. Okay. I'm here because, I suppose I'm here because I got married at 19, married for 10 years, divorced, had a teenage sweetheart before the marriage, reconnected with the teenage sweetheart immediately after marriage, and now I've had to let that person go. And honestly, if I'm being truthful, I'm heartbroken. I'm honestly, I think I'm gonna cry. Oof. The reason why I want to tell you is because I've done that. Oh my God, I am gonna cry. Jesus, Aaliyah, stop it. We're about 3 minutes in. The reason why I wanted to talk to you about it is one, obviously I obviously have a platform, but I know that so many of my life experiences so far I have shared with you even after the fact, and you've all said how much it's helped you, but I realised that I was dealing with a fearful avoidant, and I've done therapy now for literally probably 15 years. But I've never taken a relationship into therapy. I mean, the marriage was not, the other person didn't want to participate, so I'm not saying like I wouldn't have done that. But other than that, I've never spoke about boys or relationships or sex like that in therapy. But I don't know why, I just thought, let me do this, and it proper like, oh my God, it unlocked parts of me. And although most of my videos I'm like screaming, shouting, that's just who I am, how I am, part of its coping mechanism, part of its personality. I know that some of you struggle to follow along, especially when you're trying to get real value out of it. That's why I wanted to sit down and talk to you all. So, I want to tell you why I've left this person. I say left. Oh God. Not left. Why I've chosen myself over this dynamic with this person. The fact that I feel that they're a fearful avoidant and how that's impactful to me. I know so many of you are like, oh my God, this is my life. And also just like mistakes that I made in marriage, mistakes that are so obvious to me now, because so many of you have asked me like, how did you know, but I want to make it damn clear, and it's not because of the comments. This video is not about any ex, you know who, like, it's just not. I might throughout the video draw comparisons, but purely for you guys to understand, because I don't want to say one thing about this teenage sweetheart and you're like, but what was different between him and him? So I will draw comparisons, but this really isn't about him. I forgot about him. That's it. Like, point blank period, okay? Okay, what I will do is I'll put a little break in between this. So the first half I will give you a full backstory of the teenage sweetheart. Second half, I'm going to tell you the aftermath, what I've learned, the comparables, the impact, and this just the lessons, the value of myself, the value, you know, just everything. Okay, so you can decide if you want to hear the whole thing. Sit down, brace yourself. If you just want to learn what I've learned, you'll be able to scroll along and see it. I really don't want this to be like a big crazy long thing though. 2 magpies. No, because when I see 2 magpies and I'm talking about this person, I'm like, no, don't send them back to me because I don't have the emotional strength. God. No. Right. Teenage sweetheart. I'm not going to go crazy into depth because I still like this person, like as a person. I still care about this person. I still want to respect their privacy. And although you've seen me drag someone else online, I dragged someone who was trying to drag me. You understand? You don't just take punches from somebody, do you? This person's not trying to do any of that, so I'm not going to violate their privacy, okay? So I'll keep it brief. About 10 years ago, I was working in a supermarket, not a supermarket, where was I working? Shopping centre, in a clothing store, Meadowhall, for you like local Sheffield people, whatever. And this guy and these like 3 other guys came in with him, and I was like, oh my god. I'll be honest, I don't know why I did this, because I used to see people steal all the time. And I remember, you know, you get like the managers in the mornings being like, key thing for today, team, is we want our value for the tills to be this, and we want to make sure we keep our eyes on that. I used to honestly watch people steal all the time, and I used to think, I'm leaving them. I'm leaving them. I could tell that they needed it. Like, it's not my job to intersect between God, you know what I mean? Like, whatever. But he came in with these 2 or 3 men or boys, whatever. And I was like, he's stealing. And I don't know why I said he's stealing to my manager. So then my manager radios to the Meadowhall staff. The Meadowhall staff start following these men around, and they leave the store, and I don't know what happens after that. And I'm just like, I go home like, what the fuck? Why did you even do that? And I never thought about the person. I just thought, why did you do that? That's like, I've never done that before. I've never done it again. Anyway, that was like late in the year. Said he was stealing. Never saw him in Meadowhall again. New Year's Eve comes round, and it's literally about 5 weeks later. And this New Year's Eve, I am intoxicated. I have never been this, I know I probably have, but this New Year, that intoxicated that when you go back to that same club a different time, even in an intoxicated state, it looks like a completely different place. I'm like, this is not how I remember it. So I'm there, woo, 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 with my friends. I met this American guy, I'll tell you his name, because I've never seen him. He reached out a few times after, and I thought, fucking hell, mate, that's not that. But I met this American basketball player called Adeyemi, tall motherfucker, hot. I thought, okay, you're hot, but like, I was never a physical person. I was never somebody who would be like, you're hot, I'll kiss you. Like, I just wouldn't. And if someone would kiss me, I would just freeze. I'd just be so like, what the fuck? I mean, when I finally got there, I was okay doing it, but getting there, whew, like pulling teeth. So I'm with this Adeyemi tall motherfucker, like, ooh, I am intoxicated. I'm telling you, like a music video intoxicated. And we've already done the countdown at this point. I am belligerent drunk. It's probably about 1:20 in the morning. And I look to my right, and I see someone like kind of beckon me. I'm like, I know that person. Where the fuck is he from? So obviously belligerent me. I mean, I'm like this all the time anyway, but belligerent me, I'm a bit more loving, but I'm a bit more like, woo, where's safety? Safety's out the window. I just walk over to this other tall motherfucker. I'm like, what? What are you shouting me for? You know, right? What are you shouting me for? Where do I know you from? And then it hit me. It's him. And I don't know why, but I thought he knew that I'd accused him of stealing. He obviously didn't know, and I'm fucking admitting to him in this club. I know you. This man was just like this. Just his presence was just so still. And he was just like, what are you doing later? And I'm thinking, fucking later? Like, I'm fucked. But I don't think he meant it in a weird way. Like, he was just so like that. Like, I don't know. I don't know. Now I know him. He's like that, but he was just like that. And I'm like, I'm this, I'm that. New Year's Eve, clubs tend to close about 5, 6. I believe you me, I was in that club until the lights came up. And when the lights came up, right, after I spoke to him, this is really becoming long-winded, isn't it? After I spoke to him, did whatever, I went back to my friends, which had the tall motherfucker, the Adeyemi guy, and I could see him giving eye evils, but I thought, you're just jealous because he's probably an inch taller than you. But I didn't think he was interested in me. I'm drunk. I'm being playfully drunk, right? I'll be honest, my vision goes back to my group of friends. I don't look left or right again. I'm drunk, you understand? I'm in this club till 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. Lights come up, and I don't know why, but when the lights came up, I looked around, he was gone, and I had this like feeling like, I don't even know this man's name. I don't know his name. Where's he from? I've never seen him before, and I'm out all the time. And I get outside the club, and like my friends are like, and I'm just like going out, I'm gonna get cigarettes from the shop, like, you know, doing whatever. This car like drives outside me, and it's him. And he goes, do you want me to take you home? And I genuinely didn't think he was being weird. I was like, think I'm going home? I'm going to casino. Like, that's how I was, like, proper rowdy. And he's just like, fucking hell. He is, fucking hell. And then he goes, well, I'm going casino, so I'll drop you at casino. You can't walk down the street like that. I'm like, I need this weapons again. Anyway, I walk down to casino. He must not have been drunk at all. That's probably why he was so chill, because he's obviously driving. And we get to the casino, we're there, and as I see him actually going in the casino, I'm like, I think I want breakfast, because I just thought, I don't know what this is, but whoa, like, this is fucking weird, like, whatever. Skip, okay? Didn't see him again for about 3 months. Then, he walks past my shop. I worked at Bank Fashion with his group of friends. Didn't look left, didn't look right, just walks past. I'm like, that's that tall motherfucker again. Like, where the fuck did this guy come from? Fast forward, again, I told you all, I used to go out every day of the fucking week. No matter what day I went out. I don't know why, but the tall motherfucker standing in the corner in the club. I don't like keep saying motherfucker, by the way. They always stand in the corner, but I kind of get it because you're so tall. You could not physically place yourself in the middle of the dance floor because you're just like a lampshade at that point. So every time I see him, we'd talk. We'd probably go outside, have a chat. We'd go outside, have a little chat, whatever, and then I think once I ended up at like an after party where he was at or something like that. And like, we really made friends and we swapped numbers and we like spoke on Snapchat or whatever. And it was like, okay, we're friends, but it never felt romantic. And then if he was going to go Manchester with a group of friends, he'll text me like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm in bed. He's like, okay, get ready. And I'll pick you up in an hour, we'll go Manchester. I just thought, cool, let's go Manchester. I wasn't thinking, I'm going to use this person or this person fancies me. It was like, okay, I made a mate who likes to go out. I like to go out. We'd do that. It went from that to like, I would see this person every day. He would find a way. I don't want to say he would find a way. That sounds crazy. But it's almost like he would find a way to check in with me. He would text me and be like, where are you? Oh, I'm at work. Okay, when are you going home? 5 o'clock. Okay, I'll be in the air at 5. You want to have a quick chat? But the chat was almost still. It was silent. The amount of times this man drove to my house almost every day, if not every other day. And yeah, we would talk. There'd always be music on in the background. Always. But most of the time, we'd almost sit there silently. But it wasn't uncomfortable. It wasn't uncomfortable at all. It sounds weird saying that out loud. It was not uncomfortable. And obviously at this point, we'd gone out loads more. Never kissed, never done anything. Now I'm looking back, I'm like, I feel like, I didn't realise at the time, but we were probably healing each other without even realising. Anyway, I started going out more, and the more I went out with him, the more I started meeting some of his friends that were just simply his friends. Not females, like females of like his male friends, they're females. And I remember he called me and he was like, you're not going out with XYZ, are you? I was like, no. He's like, don't do that. I was like thinking, what the fuck was he telling me? I was like, why? I was like, would you, what? And he was like, don't do that. Like, you're not them kind of people. And I thought, why is he doing that? Anyway, I went and I learned that. I learned that night. I'm not those kind of people, okay? But we still remain in contact. And even if it would go like 2 days without talking, it would pop up and it wouldn't be like, where have you been or anything, like just like, okay, hey. But it always felt like no matter where I was, he was. Like my sister, she moved house once. She moved to the fucking one side of Sheffield I never even knew existed. I remember I had to get 2 buses there. I get on these 2 buses. I get off the bus. Who drives past me? I'm fucking miles away. Him. I'm like, have you put a tracker in my ass? Like, what is happening? And he used to be like, I see it, I've got CCTV, I can see you everywhere, da, da, da. He's like that. I feel like I'm just fine, but he's like, his wittiness is very similar to mine. And I never compared that back in the day, but again, I was much younger, so I just thought, I don't know, man, we're speaking the same language, I like this. But not in like a, what is this? Anyway, fast forward, where it kind of got romantic. One time, I don't know why, but I sent him a selfie of myself. And I put something like, I mean, I'm getting second embarrassment now. I put something like, you're cutie or something. I don't know what I did. I don't know why I did it. But I skipped a part. A lot of the times, sometimes I did actually go to his house. Never sexual. Every time I would go to his house, I'd sit on either one side of the sofa, he'd sit on the other, or he'd sit on another sofa, but he'd always just be like, do you want a drink? Do you need anything? All right, you need to you're drunk, go to sleep. You know what I mean? He never tried anything. And I remember once saying, are you not going to sleep in your own bed? And he was like, no, you lay in the bed. Like, I'm all right. And I'm like, not that I wanted him to, but I thought, what the fuck? This is too kind. And I remember I once said, just get in the bed, like, I don't think you're going to kill me, or, you know, crazy stuff. And the man laid in the bed in his full clothes. I swear he had his jacket on. I just found that odd. I mean, I felt safe, but I thought, yo, this man's either, I don't know, man. You are not willing to go, like, you're not playing with the law, man. I don't know, right? So that was that. Then he called me and was like, what are you doing? I was in bed, he wanted me to come out, and I was like, no. And then he was like, right, we'll wait here. And he's sending me videos on Snapchat of him in the club, and I'm like, love that. I'm so hungover. It's like 4th day in a row at this point. And then he texted me saying, we're leaving Sheffield. So I was like, okay, where are you going? And he was like, Manchester. And I was like, oh, hell no. And he's like, we're going to swing by this person first and pick up this person, this person, this person. And then we're going to go. So you've got 45 minutes. And I don't know why, but I just thought, fuck it. Manchester's different than what I've just seen yesterday. So I got ready, went to Manchester. And I don't know why, but all these group of people were there, all like being like, la, la, la. And even though me and him are drunk, it felt like we were separate to them, even though we were with them as part of the crowd. And I remember like, I don't know if I reached for his hand or he reached for mine, but it wasn't like a, where do we stand? It was like, I'm fucked. We're walking on this cobble road. I don't know, I just felt like I knew you well enough to hold your hand. And when our hands touched, we kind of like looked at each other and was like, whoa, what the fuck is that? And then we're in this club, everyone's doing that, and I'll say one thing, I can't dance for shit. I cannot dance. I used to think he could dance, only after our new conversations, he literally, after 10 years, came to me, which I'll tell you later, but he said to me 10 years later when we reconnected, can you still not dance? And I said, well, actually, I feel like the best intimacy I've had when dancing with someone was with you, so I feel like you can't dance either, sir. I don't know why, but you know, like when you're like, proper, oh my God, I'm giving myself the ick. Stop it. You know, when you're like fully like whining on someone, sometimes it can be a bit like that, like push and pull, because one person is doing one thing and you see girls do it all the time in the club, and there's no synchronization to the both of them at all. It really takes two people to be entwined to do that kind of dance for longer than a minute. And I don't know why, but it felt like he's moving left when I'm moving left, and I'm moving back when he's moving right. And this is great, because this is the best dancing I've ever done. We were dancing in the club like that. They're all fucking boss up. Like, I can see them. It was 2 stories. They've gone up there to do that. He goes, don't go up there. Like, he was like, I remember him saying, don't go up there. Like, we'll be here. Like I told you, he liked to stand in the corner near the bar. That's all he'd like to do. I don't want to walk to the bar. I don't want people pushing in front of me. If I stand here, I've got a permanent place at the bar. I can just keep getting my drink. So we're just at the bar, dancing next to the bar, whatever. We can see them. There's literally about 5 or 6 of them. They bust up. I'm telling you. No, maybe there's 3 or 4 of them. I can't remember, but there's a group. They're bust up. Bust up. No, is there? I feel like I'm on about the other night. Okay, there's a couple. I don't know. There's some people up there, right? They're bust up. We can say, and we look at each other and we're literally laughing. We're like, they look like zombies. They're so fucked. How are they the ones egging on the party? Because it was them being like, woo, let's go here, next. And me and him were kind of like, okay, enough's enough kind of thing. And then they were like, we're going to go here, but first, God, this phone. We're going to go here, but first we're going to go, I don't know, one more ring upstairs or whatever. We said, okay, we'll meet you outside. I don't know why. We go outside. And I always used to be like, can you Snapchat? Blah, blah, blah. But it was just private to my private friends. I used to, like what I do now, I've always done, but just not to the world. and I went, let's take a selfie. And he was like, nah, I don't take pictures. And I know you're all going to know he was a cheater or whatever, but I was genuinely thinking he just done my pictures. Like, my brother don't take pictures with just anybody. And I was like, no, I could tell he really didn't want to, but he did. And we took this selfie. And after this selfie, we just like looked at each other and we kissed. And after the kiss went on, right, and after the kiss happened, we almost just like pretended nothing happened. Anyway, fast forward. After that kiss, we went back to, God, this has been 20 minutes. I'm not even started yet. Okay, after the kiss, we went back to like, are you hungry yet? Okay, I'll pick you up, we'll go Subway. At the point, I didn't have a license, by the way. I'll pick you up, we'll go Subway. Okay, boom. whatever. You want to go here, he'll pick me up and I'll go with him, whatever. And then, like I told you, we had a bit of a mutual friends at this point that we'd all been out with. And one of them, I knew, he knew, but this girl wasn't like, I never spoke to her about him, he never spoke to her about me. We were just like a mutual person. And I was in her house. She wasn't there. She wasn't there, not just for the day, like for a while. I was in her house, she'd asked me to go there. And I don't know why. I just said, where are you? And he was literally like, there, like there on this. I could see him through the window. And I was like, okay, I'm in such and such's house, come. And he came. And again, she was comfortable with him going there. I didn't just invite a stranger to her house. I mean, even if I did, what was she going to do about it now? It's 10 years, but whatever, that's the truth. And he came, and I don't know how it went from 0 to 100, but we did sex. Don't ask me how that sex was. I don't remember. But I don't think I can advocate for myself and say I put on a good show. I feel like it was like trauma sex without realising it was trauma sex, because I don't remember him coming and like none of that. I just know that it happened, obviously consensually. And that kind of shifted the dynamic. It kind of made it weird. We never spoke about it after. We never tried to do it again. And we just went back to being friends. So then that was the dynamic. Obviously met this guy. Still was friends with my teenage sweetheart while I was getting to know this guy, but I was really open and honest about it. They both know about each other, which I've told you on the other videos. I don't really want to rehash that, but after a while of not getting to know them both, but getting to know this guy while still being in contact with this one, I thought, I know I've done sex with this person. I know we've kissed. I know if it was just friends, I would have never addressed it. But because I knew it was that, and my ex knew that I'd done that, I just thought I wouldn't be comfortable. Like, if he was hanging around with Sarah, who he's done these things with, I just would think me taking piss. So no one ever asked me to. But I texted him and I said, "Can you meet me?" And he was like, "Where?" And I literally I spelled out my ex-husband's name, because he knew where he lived. And he literally drove to his house. I've just got out of the shower of my ex-husband's house. I'm not in a relationship with him, by the way, but I'm chilling there. I get out, hair's wet, I'm in my pyjamas. I tell him, whatever you do, don't park outside. Just park like around the corner. So I didn't lie. I literally came out of my mouth. I said, I'm going to talk to this guy, but I didn't tell him what about. I went out there, sat in the car, and said, look, I don't know what this is. I don't know what it'll ever be, but I've met this person. They're a really kind person, and I just don't want this back and forth to spoil it. He was like, yeah, cool. I understand. I get it. And again, I never asked him, what is this? And he never asked me what this is. And I never said, I want this from you. And he never said, I want this from you either. So some of you might be like, why didn't he fight for you or whatever? But fight for what? Like, you know, in order to put something on the table, you've got to know something's in the kitchen. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, so he was like, I get it. Like, if you're sure, whatever, da-da-da. Okay, cool. Like, honestly, wish you the best. Left it there. Saw him maybe a total of 5 to 7 times over a few years. Or maybe sometimes like months. Sometimes I go a year without seeing him and see him like 2 months in a row, or 2 months of that year or whatever. One magpie with him. But every time I'd see him, he'd be really polite and respectful. Like, he'd just be like, you look good. You look really good. Especially when I first saw him after that. It was quite a while. Maybe about 14 months. And he'd be like, you look really good. And I'd be like, oh, I know. And he'd be like, oh, here she goes. And we'd have a brief conversation. And I'd just keep it moving. Because honestly, when I was married and even in a relationship, I am like this. Even if I'm in a relationship, my gaze is down, man. I don't know. People are like, did you see that hot guy? No, because I'm looking at the floor, I'm looking at my footstep, like, and not because I'm intimidated by looking at a hot man and fearing what I would do. I'm thinking, do you know, like, Meg Thee Stallion's a bit like, my man, that's me. When I'm locked in, like, I don't care who's what. Michael B. Jordan, I don't care. So after that, boom, leave it there. A few times he did, we'd bump it back into each other at the end of the night, and he's like, let me take you home, you're drunk. And I'll be brutally honest. And if my ex-husband is watching, it's probably going to be his first time finding out. No, I think I told him the truth. No, I did tell him the truth. I don't know. I will have told him that I've seen him. I might not have told him this. Fuck it. I know your shit now, brother. He would drop me home. I mean, I said it like it's like really deep. He dropped me home like twice or 3 times. And even when he dropped me home and like the engine would turn off, we just sit there silently, but not awkwardly. Like there was a peace there. Do you know what I mean? And one time, I was with my best friend, and he didn't try and reopen it, but it was like, is this your choice now? Is this what you want to do? This is before he realised I was married, because lots of you don't know, but when I first got married, I never wore a ring. I don't like jewellery. It took me a while to wear a ring, man. It also took my man a while to get me a fucking ring, and that was free. Anyway, I never wore a ring. So I'm not going to go, I'm married now. Like, so I suppose when he saw me in those initial stages, he just saw Aaliyah, right? He didn't see a ring on my finger, and I wasn't announcing it. Not because I was hiding it, but it's just, there was no space to fit that in, kind of thing. So he's like, is this, are you happy, basically? I remember him saying, are you happy in your dynamic? And I was like, yeah, I am pretty happy. Are you? And I don't know how or what, but it ended in a bit of a rah. And again, I was a bit crazy back then, so I remember getting out of this man's car, slamming this door so hard, I swear I've snapped something on the hinge. The door, it must have bust this man's eardrum. And again, when we've reconnected and we spoke, some of the things that he's remembered are these things that I've remembered, which is so crazy, because when I left it and all the rest of it, I thought, was I crazy? Were these moments, heavy moments, were they big moments, or was I romanticising them? And like the kiss in the Manchester thing and all the picture and stuff, that's the first things that he said to me. And like, do you remember when you slammed the door, they bust my eardrum? And I was like, yeah, I do, but I don't remember after that, because obviously I'm drunk. I remember walking down the street, and I swear I must have walked between 9 to 14 miles. This man curb walked me the entire way. But I'm like, I'm walking silently. You want to drive silently? I'm walking silently. And he's going, just get in the car, Aaliyah, stop. And I'm like, no. That was our last interaction. No, it wasn't. I saw him one more time, and that's the 3rd time that he dropped me home. And that's when I just knew I'd made a mistake. I knew I'd made a mistake. Not necessarily not choosing him, but I just knew I made a mistake with the person that I chose. Do you know what I mean? And honestly, if I can be brutally honest now, I'm not a cheat, never cheated in my life. I thought, I will not go out of my way to cheat, but if you plant one on me right now, I will take it, my mate. Like, I think I was speaking to God that night. 3 a.m, bus up. Please let this man kiss me. But again, he never advanced himself like that towards me. Like, and again, it's really respectful, but I thought, not, look, save it for fucking Sunday, mate. Just do it. Like, but I would never say that back then. He didn't do it. And to this very day, I wish, you're going to be like, that's terrible. To this very day, I regret not just kissing him. Honestly, and cheating. You all might be like, I'm being spiteful. I'm really not trying to hurt this other person's feelings. I feel like I should have trusted my gut. This person cheated me anyway. You know what I mean? In the long run, actually, more things than relationships or intimacy, many more things. I should have cheated on him before the marriage. I should have cheated on him after. Like, I should have cheated. Keisha Cole was right. Okay, and now I'm getting out of... We want this video to remain calm, collected. Okay? He didn't kiss me. I got out of my car. I remember for about 6 months, I had this knot in my feet. And imagine trying to be someone's wife while you're like, I know it was you. Like, it's awful. I know you're going like, you emotionally cheated. Maybe I fucking did. Maybe I did. Who cares? I remember that 3rd night was the only night, the first time where I wished he kissed me, where it hit me. I had utter regret in my belly because I knew I'm not going to see you again. At that point, I'd almost like stopped going out as much, hence the reason why I didn't see him as much. And I just knew that if I see you again, I can't even talk to you because of the way I feel right now. And that was that. Never saw the man again. Don't get me wrong, 6 months later I thought, thank God I bypassed that feelings. Now I'm here with this guy. He's so great for this week. Anyway, we've already spoke about him. So 10 years pass. And I'm not going to go over the 10 years of marriage because I feel like we did that in part 1, 2 and 3. But like I said earlier, what I might do is draw the comparisons to help you guys understand why I've drawn the comparisons I have and why I'm leaving the situation. Okay, so I asked for the divorce almost 2 years ago. 18 months in, my friends are like, you need to do sex. I'm like, I don't really, this is the goddamn truth, I don't want to do sex. This is when the pretend dates came in, right? I did the pretend dates, all the rest of it. And then I said to my friend, maybe I do just need to do sex. Again, I'm not willing to sleep with a stranger. I don't want to go on a date. You're never going to catch me on a dating app. And this, I'm not shaming any of you that are on a dating app. You will never see me on a dating app. If you see my name or face on a dating app, you better know it's a burner. It's not me, a burner. What the heck? It's a catfish. It's not me. I would never, my communication and love language is not texting. Do you know what I mean? Like when I've got a boyfriend or a husband, I don't text them. You could look at me and I know you might be like, but you two didn't like each other. But in any of my relationships, look at our text thread. It might be Friday and the last time I texted them was last Tuesday. Because I'll just pick up the phone, me and call. Like, I'm not a texter. Even this guy, the teenage sweetheart guy, we never really text like that. Unless it's like, I'm coming. It's always calls or FaceTime, you know what I mean? So you'll never see me on a dating app. So, and what happened is, I was like, I think that was just a weekly thing. I think last week I was being silly about wanting sex. And then, being the goddamn truth. And at this point, by the way, after I let that man go, 10 years, I didn't think of him. I really went into that marriage and tried everything I could in the marriage. Someone sent me a message about him, the teenage sweetheart, about 5 years into my marriage, and I remember reading this message and being like, oh, fucking hell. And then being like, it's not your business today, it's nothing to do with you, don't let it consume you, move the fuck on. And I honestly just deleted the message. I didn't even respond to the message. And I did move on. But what happened is, we spoke about sex and I was like running away from it. And again, I'm not really a physical person, don't really like sex. Then I get a DM on TikTok from a burner account from another ex, saying, I mean, if he watches me, he's going to know that I've seen it now, saying something like, we've been enemies for long enough, do you think now we should be friends? And he uses emojis to put together who it is. I know immediately who it is, like immediately. And I thought, not you, never you. I never want to hear or see your face again, like. But when he pings up like that, I think, because I don't know why, but he reminded me of the other one, but not because of personality. I don't know why. Maybe it was just because of like appearance or whatever. When he said that, I rang my friend straight away. I said, remember the sex conversation we had the other week? Yeah, I think I should do it. And she went, with who? I went, with teenage sweetheart. She went, you what? I went, this guy just sent me this. Sent her a screenshot, obviously, because we don't just say things. We send receipts. This guy just sent me this, and I immediately thought of this guy. She's like, yeah, but are you sure? Are you this? Are you that? Aaliyah, you said that 10 years ago he had a hold on you. Like, you don't know what the hold was, but he had a hold on you. I said, he did, but the hold can't be that strong. Come on, I've had a marriage and 2 kids and I've not thought about him every day. And then we're like, okay, I said, okay, let me think about this. I'm in my garden, by the way. I'm in my garden. If you want me to be goddamn truthful, I'm in my garden. I dropped my kids at school. The sexist of mine is roaming around upstairs. I'm just trying not to be heard at this point. That's why I'm sitting in the garden. Okay, how are we going to do this? How are we going to do this? How are we going to do this? And I said, you know what? Just give me, let me sit on it for 10 days. If I sit there for 10 days and I still have this feeling that I should do it, I'm going to do it. 10 days come round. I'm like, fuck it, I'm going to do it. So then she's like, okay, so how are you going to find him? I'm like, I have no clue. Because he is from an area where my ex-husband has like family. So I've been to this area copious amounts of times for my ex-husband's family, never seen the man. And I never was looking, but it's not a big area. So I was like, I'm never going to find this man again. And then I started fearing, what about if he's dead? What about if he's been dead this whole time? And I didn't know, like, I don't know, like, I was just stressing, panicking. He doesn't do social media. Can't find him on social media. Like, so I didn't know how I was going to find him. I remember thinking, oh, I had a number for him, like, the last time he picked me up. It sounds ridiculous. And that third time, it rang me, and my call log, you can see shit from calls from 2013 or whatever, texts on my phone. I don't delete anything. I'm like scrolling. I blocked this number. So when I unblock it, I go to ring it, number's not in fucking action anymore. I'm like, you are joking. You're going to think I'm being psycho, but I'm like, no, I have to do this. I have to do the sex, and I feel like I'll be the most comfortable with him. And not because I've been comfortable with him before, but because I've got this emotional attachment to him. If you want the goddamn truth, could not find him, wasn't willing to reach out to the mutual friends and put myself out there like that, because I just thought like, it wasn't about pride or shame. I just thought, obviously I've got this platform now. I'm not trying to send someone a message that might just use it against me and never actually pass on the message. So I'm moving smart, right? I'm thinking, okay, best thing I can do is drive back to that area. It's not strange for me to be in that area. I go to that area all the time. And if God wants to put this man before me, he'll put him before me. I drive to the area. I'm on the phone with my friend. Our hearts are like that, racing. I don't know why, because the odds of me seeing him that day was just zero, really. I drive, and I swear now, I'm like this. Can I just think, as soon as I lay my eyes on him, I'll just have a conversation. I don't, that sounds crazy as hell now, but I'm like, I just have to talk to this person. I'm driving through this area, like, I swear like a pigeon. Left, right, left, right, left, right. I'm like, my friend's going, I've gone on the street. I can't keep going on the street. His such and such family member lives there. She's going to come out. She's going to tell me, Aaliyah, come inside. And I'm like, I'm not here for you, hon. I'm here for dick. Like, Aaliyah, stop it. So I go on this road. This road, you can't go on this road numerous times. Like, it's not one of them kind of roads. Once you go on it once, people will start looking at you out the window at that point. So she goes, you're going to have to brave it and go on the road again. So here I am, going back on this road again, pretending my fucking car's broke down. Like, I put my fucking hazards on, put it in neutral, make it look like it's just, I don't know, because it's a little rough, this area too. I'm thinking shit like, oh, imagine how much effort I went to, that's crazy. Okay, go to this area. I do it, my friend went, just sit there for a minute. I went, I can't sit, I'll put it in neutral, I'll roll down slowly. Like, I cannot sit, this is not an area to sit in, I'll be shot through the window, like, you're crazy. I drive down there, and as I'm getting to the end of the road, it just sinks within me. I'm like, I'm never going to see this person again. I'm never going to have the opportunity to say the things that I never said. I'm never going to have the opportunity to say, you know what, I don't know what it is about you or within you, but you healed a part of me. Like, I'm never going to get that opportunity. That felt painful to me. As I get to the end of the road, I turn. As I turn, honestly, it's proper sitting with me. I'm like, now what? Now what? Literally, his best friend just zooms past me. I'm like, the best friend being like someone, every time we go out, it would be with him. I'm like, God. So I'm like, shit, it's very loud, screaming through the thing. What am I going to do? But I also didn't want the friend to know like what my plan was. So I'm like, fuck, what do I do? So what she's like, wait, let me think. I'm like, I'm going to have to follow him. I start following it. What the fuck? Am I lost my mind? I start following this friend of his. Because I'm trying to figure out, do I expose myself right now? Even if I say, where is teenage sweetheart? Like, that's hot and heavy. And I'll be honest, I wasn't there to like break up my family, but I did think he would have had kids at this point. So I thought he was going to say, he's on holiday with his kids or whatever. I'm like, what the fuck do I do? What do I do? I'm following this car around. Then this car clocked me, obviously. He's like fucking busting turns like this. So I'm not following him. I'm fucking busting turns like this. I'm like, I can't lose this car. We end up miles away from this thing. And I say to my friend, we're at the lights. We're both at the lights at the same time. There's two lanes. Do I just go in the other lane and say, yo, whatever your name is, where is la 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 la? So I just toot my horn. I don't know what that was. That was an knee-jerk reaction. I tooted my horn. This man also hasn't seen me in 10 years. He gets out, he's like proper pissed. As he gets out, I freeze. I didn't know, I couldn't even get out of the car. I couldn't even say like, why my window? I'm like, get out of the car. She's still on the phone. He's get out of the car. I'm like, oh my God, what do I do? And she's like, you're just gonna have to get out of the car. But no, I can't. And I drove off. On the way home, I'm literally, it's like someone's killed my cat. I'm devastated. She's still on the phone, by the way. This friend of mine, she needs a pay rise. I'm like, the opportunity's gone. I should have got out of the car. Like, I'm not crying, but I'm like proper whining about it. I should have got out of the car. And I said, okay, one more attempt. I'd managed to go on my old Snapchat, and I had one of his friends on my old Snapchat. Again, not seen him for probably 11 years. And I literally just say, tell teenage sweetheart to add me. And I sent my handle. I don't know why I sent my handle. You can see my handle, but men and men aren't this stupid. And I just leave it. And I'm like, I don't even know if he uses this anymore. I don't know, whatever. No, I tell a lie. As I'm driving back, baby daddy calls me and goes, just letting you know, we're running late. We're running late because we've done a U-turn and we've gone to such and such's house. They'd gone to the house in the area that I'm scoping out. I call my friend, I say, you know what? He's right behind me, like what? He could have seen me doing that. I mean, we're not together, but I thought, close call. So when I get home, so I say, yeah, just leaving from here. And I make it longer. And then I'll be honest, I watch my cameras at home. When I see his car pull up, then I pull onto the road. I thought, I can't be here before. It's going to cause questions. I don't know why I got frantic, right? I watch his car pull in, I pull in. I get in like, oh boys, you're here so quickly. He's offering me fucking coffee and a hug. I'm like, fuck off you. Like, fuck off, I'm all broken. I go outside, back in the garden. Tell my friend, I'm fucked. I'm never going to find this man again. This is 43 minutes and we've not even got into the actual thing. Okay, I promise you the story's almost over. We've almost, I go into the garden, I say it's not going to happen. She goes, what about the friend that you mentioned? She actually reminded me about the friend. So I send this thing. But again, it's on an old Snapchat. I've not even used this Snapchat for 8 years. So I send it and I'm like, what the fuck? I'm just fucked. I'm like, oh my God. So I moan at her for 5 minutes. I go, right, I'm going inside now because the kids want to watch a movie and I've got to sit next to Far. And she's like, good luck. As I stand up and go to press the handle, my phone pings. Teenage sweetheart added you. I'm like, no freaking way. All that just happened today. I am going to have a panic attack. So I'm like, no, it cannot be. I've never pressed accept quickly in my life. And as I press accept, I don't know if he messages me or I message him. I feel like he messaged me saying hi or something. And I just put no way. And he was like, lol, it's been a long time. And I'm like, it's not you. I thought one of these people had found out. I was trying to look for him and they were punking me. I was like, it's not you. He's like, yes, it is. I'm like, no, it is not you. It just, the timing was ridiculous for the day. No, it's not you. Then he starts saying I used to call him nicknames. He starts bringing up these nicknames and then he mentions the New Year's Eve night. And that's where the first nickname initiated because New Year's Eve night is when I gave him the first nickname, obviously belligerent. I'm like, nah, don't believe it. I said, no, tell me something more specific. He's like, that's specific enough. No one else knows this but me and you. I'm like, no, tell me something more specific. And then he goes, you don't like your toes. You've not wore sandals unless you've started in the last 10 years. Do you know what it is? It sounds really stupid because anyone could say that. But I had forgotten this phase of my life where I had this massive thing about my toes. Even in the summer, I would wear closed-toe shoe. And the fact that he remembered, I was like, no way. So here I am watching this family movie with this baby dad of mine, 2 kids. I'm like grinning. Conversation starts. I'm not going to get into all of it. But we spoke. I made it very clear I'm here for sex. He said, cool, whatever. But we spoke for about a month, maybe 6 weeks before we actually met in person. And we kept it very pure, clean sex. And I didn't feel cheated. Honestly, I didn't feel cheated from that. And I didn't actually tell my kids at first. He knew. I didn't know that he knew, but he knew. And he was like, let me ask you a question. Have you had a breast reduction? I'm like, how the fuck do you know? He's like, someone told me. I'm like, someone told you were watching me. I promise I wasn't watching you. How can I watch you? You blocked me. Burners, mate, burners. He said it wasn't him. Who am I to argue? Anyway, did that. Met him for the first time. When I tell you I met this man for the first time, I was like blowing into a brown paper. I swear, I'm not like this person. I walk in this room and I remember, I don't know why, but you know, like if you go to a restaurant and there's like 6 tables of people there, it's not very busy. It felt like that, but it felt like there were millions of people there. It just felt like there were so many people. And I remember I just couldn't see him. I remember like looking like this. I could not see this man for the life of me. And I thought, oh no, he can see me. Of course he can see me because he's watching the door. So he knows it's me because he's seated. He's a bit more chill and he can see the door. And I'm having to find him out of what feels like 60 million people, even though there's probably about 20 people in here. I remember I felt like that moment lasted for a lifetime. And then he stood up, and obviously he's tall. When I tell you, I almost fell to my knees. I remember getting in front of him and he like grabbed my hands and I was like, and he was like, hi. I don't remember what he said. I was like, I don't know if I can do this. I need to sit down. I don't think I even hugged him. I didn't even hug him. I was like, I need to sit down. He was like, sit, take water, whatever. We sat, we chatted, and I remember he was just like the same. I mean, I was a bit more dramatic with it, but he was also just like that. Like, I was like, what? Like, I got warmed up. I was like, what? He was like, I just can't believe you're sitting in front of me. I never thought I would see you again. And then he started like saying like things, and we started laughing about things, and I thought, oh my God, I wasn't being crazy. Those things meant something to him as well. But again, still kept it as sex. Spoke more. And then I kind of like said, oh, I'm getting a divorce, you know, whatever. Well, cool. Blah, blah. And then it was like, okay, cool. And I think he kind of found space of like, okay, she's not just saying she's getting a divorce. She is actually emotionally removed from this person. This is not a case of a rebound or anything. We obviously spoke more, and he knew that, not because timing is important, but I feel like some people are quickly to judge me on here and be like, she's obsessed with him. But if you actually had a conversation with me, you can see that I am so over that and was over that situation. I was over it even before I asked for the divorce, honestly. I left that marriage 5 years before I actually left it, emotionally and mentally. And I think the more he saw that, the more he leaned in and he started being like, I'm so glad to talk to you. Saying things that are a bit more, not romantic, but emotionally vulnerable. And I thought, I really like this because I don't feel like I'm being manipulated. And this is where the comparisons come in. When I met the previous person, it felt like they were just constantly saying stuff at me. Like, you're so amazing, you're so great, you're so great, you're so this. And it felt like I, one, had to reciprocate it, but two, like, now I'm looking back and I'm not trying to I'm not trying to play victim here. I'm just trying to label it for what it was. I feel like I was love bombed, crazy love bombed. Honestly, I'm not here to be like, I'm pressing charges for being love bombed, this man. No, I think I was 100% love bombed. It was too much. And that's why for the first year, no, maybe 2 to 3 years of my marriage, although we'd get along and yes, we were intimate, that every couple months, I'd just have this like knee-jerk reaction to be like, go away. Like, it was too much. And I'd just shrink back into myself. I'd just go out more, you know what I mean? Like, but I'd always still show up. I wouldn't just be missing, you know what I mean? I'm there after your work, I've made your food, I've done the food shop, but now bye. Like, it was too much. But he wasn't doing that, and he wasn't saying too much. And then I started like seeing this person like every week, and then the calls started coming every day. And then after that first time I saw him, we didn't actually see each other for maybe 4 weeks, but the calls started coming every day. And they weren't like uninvited calls, but they started coming every day. He was desperate to get me on FaceTime, and I literally, as soon as I reconnected with him, I said to my best friend who was on the phone at the time, oh no, he's going to want to FaceTime. She was like, why? Why would he want to FaceTime? He's a FaceTimer. I remember 10 years ago, even if he wanted to say, what do you want from the shop, he would FaceTime me. And I know you might be like, Lee, you're on camera every day. I just hate FaceTime. I'd rather, like I said to you earlier, it's either FaceTime. When I said earlier, it was either phone calls or FaceTime. FaceTime is purely him. I'd rather phone call. And then he started with the FaceTime, and I was like, oh no. Like, FaceTime just feels so too personal for me. But anyway, we continued to speak, continued to do whatever, and then I went out with him again. And I remember when I went out with him again, I was still a bit nervous, but he was like, give me a hug. You didn't hug me last time. I was like, I couldn't even think to remember to breathe last time. And I hugged him, and this hug didn't feel like long, like prolonged, but it felt like a longer than a normal hug. But we didn't kiss. And we chatted, and the more we chatted, the more I was like, wait, you're like me? You're so similar to me. Like, and back in the day, I never really identified that. I just thought, we get along. Like, this is... But then the more we spoke, the more he used to say to me all the time, I say used to, like recently, he would say to me, I'm speaking to the female version of myself. And I'd say, oh God, don't say that, I'm insulted. Like, but I knew what he was saying was true. You know what I mean? Like, we're so similar. So similar. And my ex-partner was so opposite. And then... I don't know where it escalated into more relationship. Actually, I tell a lie, and after that second time seeing him, we still didn't kiss, and I said, why didn't you kiss? He said, I'm not going to do that, push that upon you. I said, no, you should kiss me next time. And we kissed, and obviously, do the math, come on. No, don't do the math. We didn't lay down. But we kissed, and then obviously, then I started seeing this person once every week, sometimes twice a week, sometimes 3 times a week. And obviously you kiss more, you kiss better, you kiss longer, you kiss whatever. But a lot of the times I would see him, it's really stripped back. It's not like, here we are in France, you know what I mean? Like, it was just me and him. Like, just me and him. And we're so similar, like, we'd be in a place that's a little noisy, and we'd be like, oh, you could see us both like, this is just not. And I kept saying to him, isn't it funny how we go to the club every single day? We probably could go to the club now, but this is unbearable. This is unbearable. I'd rather sit in the rain. I remember how many times we've like eaten outside in the rain. In the rain. Because everybody's making too much background noise. It's doing my head in, it's doing his head in, and I love that it's doing your head in. And he was really OCD as well with the table. I thought, perfect. I've wished for you. I wished for you. That's what I think it was. The more we started seeing that we complimented each other, because he's not a slob, I'm not a slob. Like, he likes this, I like that. He wants to. I asked him, like, what's one thing you want to do in your life? Tell me, how do you love? Tell me, how do you receive love? Tell me, how do you deal with conflict? Tell me this, tell me that. And honestly, all these calls that we used to do, it was never. I was very conscious to not jump back in to where we left off, but also I wasn't at a point where I wanted a relationship, and if this was anyone else, I would not have even paid it any attention, but I felt like I owed it to myself to just trust the process. But I definitely didn't want to just fall in with like, oh my God, so great talking to you, do you want to go here, you want to go, no. He used to say, have you got another question for me? And again, he would reciprocate with questions, but I don't think that's the important part here. I asked him I've got a list on my phone actually of these questions. And when I said his answers, I wrote them down word for word. And I just couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe my luck. But then, this is where it goes wrong, and this is where I've left him. No, I obviously left him behind, but like, I've started to draw more similarities, and this is where my heart like breaks a bit. We're so similar. We get along, like, you know, like, I'm not saying it's difficult to get along with people, but it's not easy to click with people like that. It'd be very far and few people you'll click with like that. I remember he said, I want to tell my sister about you, and I was like, don't do that. He was like, why? I just want to tell somebody, like, who's been cheering me up. I was like, no, don't do that. Because everybody knows who I am in your circle, like, come on. And he did, he told her. But the way he told her was like casual. And I don't know why, but that was like my first red flag. And I was like, ugh. I said, I never pushed him. I never said, like, when he rang me back, like, tell me what you said to her. He rang me and I just like spoke to him normally, and he was like, oh, I spoke to such and such today about you. I was like, oh God. And you said what? And he would tell me what he said. And I felt like what he said was a whole bunch of nothing. And I was like, Like, what he said was, to give you context, like, I'm back in contact with Aaliyah. His sister's like, Aaliyah, like, fucking ghost of Christmas past, basically. And kind of said, yeah, we're talking, da-da-da. But he didn't really give a context. He didn't really say, he said, we're talking. Like, did you tell her that we're talking every single day for maybe 3 hours minimum a day? Did you tell her that I lay my eyes on you at least once, minimum a week? Most of the time twice, minimum a week? Did you tell her that that's probably contributing towards your mindset? And I'm not saying he owed me that, but I felt like it cheapened my position by telling her a half-truth. So that was our first like kind of disagreement, because I said I personally would have wished that you said nothing at all. And then said that. I think it's insulting. And I remember when I said that, he was like, I can't say anything right. And I was like, yes, you can, but you got to understand where I stand with this. You know, if I go to my brother now and say, oh, I'm talking to teenage sweetheart, and that's it, how would you feel about that? It was like, go and tell your brother. And then I thought, are you gaslighting me? Do you want me to do what you just did to prove a point? Man, it's rehashing this. I'm like, oh my God. But I don't think he meant it maliciously. But at the time that this happened, because I've been speaking to this person for about 7 months at this point, up until today. I didn't think he was being malicious, but I couldn't understand why he was doing it. And he was like, yeah, go tell your brother. I was like, I'm not telling my brother. He was like, I'll tell my brother about you when I want to, not because you've done the same and you've not even actually done that. And I never asked you to. Anyway, after this little disagreement, he kind of like, okay, cool, like, I'm gonna go. Okay, go. And he was silent for maybe about 15 hours. And I'm not like an emotional needy person, but when I know you're on your phone and you're literally watching my stories and you're choosing to just not step into this, even if you don't want to talk to me, like when I say 15 hours as well, I mean like you've gone to sleep, you've woke up, it's a new day now. Just say like, I don't know what happened yesterday and I don't want to address it today, but I'm here. Like, I just think you should meet me there. He just didn't. He waited the 15 hours and then came back like nothing happened. And I was like, oh man, what the fuck's wrong with this guy? But I didn't think too deep in it. I didn't think too deep of it at all. But the more, something else happened about that. So that was really quite early on. And then he had a bad day about 4 months in. And this bad day, he was pissed. I know he was pissed. He was so upset. And he was like, I'm pissed. And I said, look, let's just bring it down a little decibel. And this is another thing. He really brings out like a softer feminine side to me. One that just thus far, not going to say no one ever will, but thus far no man has ever brought out of me. Genuinely. Without thinking of it. I'm like, let's just, look, I know you're saying you're pissed. But what I've learned is pissed means I'm upset, I'm disappointed, it's okay to lean on those other languages as well, you know, and those other, you know, parts of vocabulary. You don't necessarily have to meet it with defensiveness of I'm pissed, I'm vexed, I'm this, I'm that. What is it what are you pissed about? Are you disheartened? And when I would do that, I would hear him breathe through the phone, and I could see that he was like almost relieved that I was saying these emotions for him. Then it clocked a little bit. I thought, okay. But I thought he's just not as literate as I am, you know. And I don't mean that as in like he's not clever and I am. I don't mean that. I want to make that damn clear. But we grew in the same area, we grew in the same kind of thing. But then when I got kicked out of school, I got sent to like a fucking middle class area. So I picked up language from certain groups of people that my people have never done. Do you understand? So like, and I don't know. I like language. I don't know if I learn a word. I'm not someone that's like, what the fuck, I've never heard that before. Here's it, finds out what it means and never uses it again. I'll try and incorporate that in my vocab. So when I did that, I could feel him breathe, and I thought, okay. When he was like, look, I'll be honest. When I'm like this, I don't want to talk to you because I don't want to give you a version of me that you don't like. I said, and that's absolutely fine. You can do that. 4 days passed by, and at this point, I'm like. And I can't say I'm like wholeheartedly emotionally invested, but I am thinking, I would never do this to you. Like, I would never just like leave you. Like, but then I'm like, Ali, although you've got 10 years of history, like it's been 10 years. But then I thought, like, I remember I was going somewhere randomly, didn't plan it, and knew that he called me all the time, especially at a certain time at night time. And again, because I'm not a texter, I don't know if it's because I'm not a texter, I can't text. So I'm not someone who'd be like, oh, by the way, I'm going out tonight. But also, even if I could text, I just don't like texting. Anytime you see me commenting back, I'm speaking into the phone. I speak into my phone 9 times out of 10. But even if I could text, I just wouldn't normally text someone that, even with my voice. But I did send a message. I think it was probably a voice. I'm a voice note queen. And I literally said, like, oh, I'm going here. So if I don't answer, I'll call you back. Because I felt like it's so new, it's so fresh, and I don't want to destabilise you, where you're thinking, where the fuck is this person gone? And we're also made it very clear at this point, like, we're all both still very much single. So I thought, well, I did that. Why can't he just do that? 4 fucking days. And when these 4 days went past, I thought, oh my God, no, there's a real issue here. What is the issue? I could not put my finger on the issue. And then my shit happened. I got arrested. Oh, who'd it be like? You better fly your brother over there. Don't be giving me no black magpie. Black magpie? Is it black magpie or just magpie? Anyway, I had my arrest shit. So at this point, this man's been calling me all day, texting me all day, and I'm in jail. So when I get out, I'll ring him. And I'm like, oh my God, you're never going to guess what? And he's like, what? And he just can't believe it. He's like, there's no way a man's done this to you. Not a grown man. Like, there's no way. You would never do that to someone. And he went, even if you did, a grown man doing all this is crazy. But understand that I maybe didn't come with my best foot forward. I was so emotionally distressed at that point. I was like, I'm sick of you telling me about a grown man. It's not about me. Like, no, why don't you just be quiet and let me moan to you? And he was like, well, you could have just said you want me to listen. And I shouldn't have to tell you. I shouldn't have to bring up my emotional cues. I lost my shit, I'll be honest. He was like, look, just reach out to me when you're ready. I said, I will, because I don't want to fight with you. I'm not trying to fight with you. I went where I went, got to a hotel, took a shower. I came back, but I did say, good night on text. I sent the text saying good night because I don't want to air you like that, but I can't talk. I'm so pissed. Next day, took my shower, gone gym. Okay, let me talk to this man. I talked to this man, and then he's like, okay, what did you do in this situation? What did you do in that? And I tell him what I did, and he tells me what I should have done. And I know most men do that, but I said, that's not what I want to hear. I don't want to hear shoulda, woulda, coulda. I've done it. There's nothing I can change. Well, didn't I told you? Because he was telling me this man is not giving signs that he wants to give you up. And every time Teenage Sweetheart said that about my dynamic, I was like, no, you're wrong. Like, we've agreed. So I suppose I felt a bit silly in the time as well, because he was highlighting something that he did pre-warn me about, but I just didn't want to hear it. I'll be open with that. But I was so pissed. He was like, after about... And that wasn't like constant, but it was a solid 10 days of off and on where I did at least 4 of those 10 days kicking off about I was stressed, man. I was homeless, I was stressed, my kids, like all of it. And I'm not justifying, I could have shown it better 100%. He was like, I can't deal with this. Like, this is too much for me. Like, you're just pissed, and I feel like I'm paying the price for it. And maybe he was. He was like, so I'm gonna leave you. And I was like, cool, leave me. Leave me, like, not leave me as in like in a relationship, like leave me alone, like, okay, cool. Was it 2 weeks that passed by? 2 weeks. And let me tell you, in that 2 weeks, my heart broke. And I'm going to tell you something now that I never realised. When I left my marriage, I said to my friends, I feel like I need heartbreak. And they said, why? I said, because I feel emotionally numb in this situation. I don't feel like I've lost anything in regards to my ex-husband. I don't feel sad. I did not feel, I still don't. Like, lots of you are wanting me to show up in a certain way on social media. I physically can't because I don't feel it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I've mourned that marriage years and years and years ago. But I felt like I needed a bit of a heartbreak to almost like underline it, because it didn't feel real. Like, I kept saying to my friends, like, oh my God, can you believe I'm getting a divorce? And even when I was getting a divorce before the criminal stuff, it still didn't feel real. But when the criminal stuff happened, and obviously now I'm without my home, without this, and the odds of me going back to this home in the next 6 months was looking really quite slim. And then I moved here and I thought, oh my God, like, this is me now. I'm a single mom now. Like, I really am. You know, I always was, but I really am. And I said, I feel like I need a heartbreak to underline it. When that man stayed silent for 2 weeks, my heart was broken, honestly. I thought, how could you do this to me? Honestly. And that's when I went more into my therapy, but not because of just him, just because of what had happened. I knew it was an emotion. I knew it was an immensely triggering situation. I found myself jumping all the time. Like, anytime a police car even drove near me, I was convinced that they were coming to rearrest me. Like, it was too much. I just never thought at my big age I'd go into a police cell, you know what I'm saying? Like, especially wrongfully as well. So I went back to therapy, and that's when I told my therapist about this guy, and this is where we'll put the marker. I'm going to tell you about what my therapist said to me. I was like, this has happened, this has happened, this has happened, everything I've just explained to you. She said, wait a minute, this seems like you're dealing with a fearful, avoidant attachment type. And I was like, what do you mean? She was like, when you're secure, he's most comfortable. But when the security you show up with means that he needs to show up too, he will avoid, he will retract, he will withdraw. And I'll be honest, it was like she's speaking Chinese for the first fucking month of sessions. I said, what do you mean? What do you mean? Like, what? I don't get what you're saying. What are you trying to say I do? Like, leaning more, leaning less? Like, but it was a slowly process, and she obviously started unpicking my marriage as well and saying, like, how did your ex-husband respond to these kind of things? And I said, don't get me wrong, he was a silent person as well, but he would say, it almost felt like quite teacherish. I'm not engaging in this conversation until everybody's calm and silent. And I'll be like, yes, you fucking are. You know what I mean? I'll be honest, I was doing that. And he'd kind of micromanage it by just walking around the room in silence. And then when he felt I was ready after a couple hours, he would come, he would listen with an empathetic ear, he would say all these big words really softly, and he'd be like, I want you to know I'm not here to, I'm sorry, but these magpies drive me nuts. I'm sorry to hear that, you know, this, and I'm not here to harm you. And I used to feel like cornered in. I used to feel like, oh, was I wrong? Was it me who was wrong? Because they're approaching me really softly, really kindly now. They're telling me they don't have a problem. I'm gonna have to accept what they're saying, even if I don't believe it, because it must be me, is what I thought. And she said, how did that make you feel? I said, extremely gaslit. And the more it went on, the more I started pointing it out. But like, I just without choice. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I just didn't have a choice because I'm so loud and rambunctious. If I was to contest anything other than that, it does make me look like the emotionally rational what? Emotionless. What the heck am I saying? Basically, I'm not as emotionally rational as him. It makes me look like that. But also because he had this facade. Now, I'll be honest, I'm not trying to slate the man, but he did have this facade back when I met him, and in few years into the marriage, where no matter who you met, if they knew my ex, they would be like, what a great guy. Like, now, people don't want to touch him with a barge pole, because I think people who have interacted with him, even with exception to my marriage, have learnt that he's literally lip service. His mouth writes checks that his arse can't cash, honestly. And it becomes a problem for all of them in a work perspective, in a relationship perspective, in a friendship perspective, in a marriage. You know, like, they were starting to see what I was dealing with without even realising. So I said, that's how I felt. She went, oh, how did this one make you feel? And I said, I feel abandoned, but in a way, if I was to draw up the two, I prefer this way because I don't feel like someone is cornering me to take or believe a certain approach that they want me to believe. And she was like, that's lack of self-belief and lack of self-value. Anyway, long story short, because I don't want to go like conversation for conversation with her, the more I've had this therapy, And the more I've spoke to her, oh my God, I'm gonna cry. The more I've like really understood that, fucking hell. Although we're so similar, although we speak the same language, although we do this, we do that. And I want you all to be clear, by the way, like, this has not been like some toxic breakup. I never entered a relationship. It was posed to me. He asked me numerous times. And I said, no, not yet, not now. Do you know what I mean? That was very conscious of me to do that. So don't think it's a toxic breakup. Don't think that, like, he's withdrawn. I will tell you the final thing that made me pull away, but don't think he's withdrawn and, like, left me on red and that's why I'm here, just slagging him off, because I'm not. Like, he has made attempts to reach out. But this is where I've declined, because I've realised, like, this is the heartbreaking part about it. Fucking hell. I don't know if I'm sad about the dynamic. I don't know if I feel like I'm really sad for the person. Because I'm just like, fucking hell, Leah. I'm like, you are such a special person. You deserve so much. And now what I'm realising is, like, this fearful avoidant that I never realised is like, yeah, part of it is a little bit of a choice, I'm going to say that, but you just don't have the tools to deal with things. And that is so sad, and your only way of coping is to hide until you feel like you don't have to confront it. And I know some of you, and I don't get me wrong, I've searched TikTok, and everyone's like, dealing with an emotional avoidant, the best way to treat them is silence. They will want you back. They are narcissists. No. My friends, and my best friend especially, thinks I'm being over empathetic for him, but I don't think I am. I think I'm holding clarity. I'm holding self-awareness for myself whilst also being emotionally understanding for somebody else. And not just that, like, when it was put to me, fearful of, fucking hell, I'm gonna cry. When it was put to me, fearful of abandon and his coping mechanisms, I realised that, oh shit, that was me. That was me. And when I started doing all this work, because I thought my sexual abuse was a massive thing, and like, I didn't realise that I'd actually started to unpick those habits without realising I even had them. Because again, I'll be honest, in the first few years of my marriage, every couple of months, I'd do that, you know. And I even said to my friend, she said, but you didn't run away. And she's right, I didn't run away, but I lived with the person. It's a little difficult. If I didn't, could I have? I probably could, do you know what I mean? And I remember being trapped in my own mind in that state, and that is just so sad. So before I come to this evaluation state and all the rest of it, because she'd started saying this, I never made him aware of this at all. But one of the biggest things as well, which is important that I should say, is I've always said I don't like sex. I always said I'm not really an intimate person, and that is the truth. I don't know what it was, and I don't know why, but there was a reason why I resorted to choosing him when I said this is the person I'm going to do sex with because I feel most comfortable. And even without the sex, I felt the most safe, and like I could just, you know, like when you see these, I'm not trying to make it like a video, like a fucking movie at all, but you know, you see these women just really own their femininity and their sexuality, and they just take off their coat and they've got clothes on, and they devour me, but not even because I want you, because I want me. Do you know what I mean? That sounds crazy. He gave me that. And I think what happened is I started to connect that reclaim of all those things to him. And then I started feeling fearful, like, well, what if I let go of this person and I lose that? But then also like, should I just lean in more? Because I know I needed it back in the day. But then when my ex-husband lent in more, it pushed me away out eventually because he was doing too much. And then it's like, if I leave him, am I abandoning him? Because he's clearly got abandonment issues. And I kept doing this therapy, I didn't say anything. Then we reached the 7th month, and I don't know what it was. I was talking to him. No, I do know what it was. My therapist, I'd started saying things to my therapist without realising, and she said to me, it sounds like you're emotionally exhausted. It sounds like this person is or could be a great match for you, but it sounds like you're carrying their half of the match. And I remember saying, but when he's not like this, and especially when we're face to face, I feel like I met with my equal. And she was like, but that's what emotionally avoidant people do. When you're in front of them, they are more secure because they can see you, they can touch you. They are not doubting behind your words. They, you know, and when they can't, their head spin basically. So basically she'd started giving me things to do and say to emotionally step back without, not without him noticing, but without being like, I'm emotionally stepping back. Because I was like, I didn't want to big song and dance about it. So on these calls that we constantly had and have, I remember in silent gaps I naturally fill them. I don't know why, it's a unconscious thing that I don't know I'm doing, but let's say it goes silent for a little bit. We're both like, we're not uncomfortable in the silence, we're both like, just take a breath. But then I'll be like, blah, 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 you know what I mean? She said, don't do that. You do it with me, don't do that. And I said, so what do you want me to do? Be silent for like 3 minutes? Like, what? That's so weird. Like, I mean, we have like a minute of silence or whatever, but 3 minutes is crazy. She said, don't do that. Let him sit in the silence. Oh my God. I'm not even sad because the silence really echoed. I was sad because I felt his discomfort in the silence. And I remember he was like, why are you silent? I said, because I don't always have to talk. And he said, you've always been the talker and the listener. Remember, you're the talker. I said, not every time. You can talk. And I started to pull back like that. And then I remember like when the silence would come to the end of the conversation, I'd let him sit in it for a couple of seconds and I'd say, right, I'm going to go. Where before, if you want to call me for 3 hours, call me for 3 hours, no problem. You know what I mean? If you say to me, oh, like, where are you? And not in a controlling way. I don't think this is like a controlling, toxic relationship. I'm somebody who will say, I'm here, but later I'm going here with this. Like, even though we were single, I did stupidly say at one point, I'm not talking to no one else. You know, are you? And he was like, no. And I was like, I don't intend to. And I was like, no. What happened is, I said to him, it hit me yesterday. And he said, what? And I said, you were the last person I kissed before I got married. And you're the first person I've kissed after I've left my marriage. And I thought that was like a nice thing, a nice reality that I'd realised. But I also thought, what a way to secure someone. He read it a completely different way. He read it as, I've not had enough experience. So it's like, why did you say that to me the other day? What do you think? Is it because you want to go and kiss other people? No. If you need to venture out, Ali, you should. That's not what I meant. And then it was like, you know what? He went, no, let me sit with this. Let me think about it again now. And then comes back, okay, look, you don't owe me anything. If you want to kiss someone, just let me know you've done it. Then it came back, look, please don't kiss anyone. So I was like, look, if it makes you feel better, I'm not putting my lips on anyone. Went to Manchester. He knew I went to Manchester. Bump into this guy. I wanted to kiss this person. I've never been like this in my life. I've never just kissed. I've never done it. And I'd wanted to. And I kissed somebody. And my friend's like, you can't tell him. And I'm not a dishonest person. But I was like, fuck it, I won't tell him. I'll follow your advice. That lasted about 40 minutes. I told him. And the heartbreaking part was, again, not in a relationship, didn't cheat. But when I told him, he didn't believe me. Oh my God. He went, no, you didn't. I went, I did. He went, no, you did not. I don't believe you. I went, don't make this more uncomfortable than it is, please. I did. And then he starts asking, like, a couple hours later, was it one kiss? I'm like, fuck it. No, it wasn't one. So more. Oh my God. And I feel like that was, I kept going back to my therapist saying, I feel like that held a lot of weight in this now. I feel like I've told him, trust me, even though we're not in a relationship, we don't owe each other, no one's cheating here. I'd said, trust me, and then I went and did it anyway. But I was sick of the mixed messages at the same time of, don't kiss anyone, you should kiss people. If you want, you can. If you can, you don't. Like, and then 1 week it'd be, you should kiss people. But at the time, we'd not got to the fearful avoidant and the insecurity side. That was insecurity speaking. That was his insecurity speaking. Did I feed into the insecurity? Probably. But did I do anything wrong by doing it? Absolutely not. And anyway, my therapist said to me, what you're realising now is in order to sustain this relationship, it requires some self-abandonment from you. And when she said it, I was like, I just knew, and I knew that she was right, because I was like, I think it's self-abandonment. It's not making me mad at myself, but you're making me question myself. These silent gaps, you're making me wonder what I've done or what I could have done better to make you feel more comfortable. But you're not thinking how you can make me feel more comfortable. And again, I'm not justifying for this person. I genuinely believe that they just don't. This is the biggest thing I learned. Capacity. My therapist speaks on it so much. Someone can love you so much, they can want you so much, they can desire a life with you. But if they don't have the emotional capacity to hold that reality, and what I mean by hold that reality is do the things that it takes to keep that and nurture that, like show up, like deal with the bad days, like have the uncomfortable conversations. If they don't have those kind of things, and that's just a few, you're going to find that they tend to do this. And don't get me wrong, that there's people that do that shit, and it's because they really don't care about you. But I truly believe in my heart that this person has love for me. Genuinely, I believe it. And I have love for this person, but I can't do it. I can't do it because I'm seeing myself follow the same path that I just did. Like where I'm almost justifying, and these little teething problems that you assume are teething problems, they're what puts their foot in your neck in 10 years time, when I'm like, oh hell no, I should have took that when it was delivered to me. And my friends are like, hey, you're justifying, but I said, no, you do, because they think that because I'm not angry at him, that I'm like delusional. But what happened on the final, that little tiff, and I know you might be like, oh, genuinely 3 little small, like it really was small. It felt like every time we had these little small things though, with the exception of the kiss, I'll allow the kiss, maybe you was very much in your right to be upset about that. But these small things always felt more blown up, but not because of the way we interacted in the interaction, because of his silence after. It felt greater than it needed to be. So again, I'm following my therapist help, like I told you. I'm leaning into this. I'm not telling him, like now he's like, what are you doing today? I'm like, whatever my body wants me to. That's the approach I'm taking. My therapist said, stop volunteering information that he has not earned. Like, stop it. Why would he show up differently if you're giving him everything he would get if he showed up? So I started doing that. And then I could feel my body naturally just being like, oh, I'm sick of this. I'm sick of this. I wasn't even sick of him. I was sick of following this plan, this therapy plan, because I felt like I was going so against the grain of who I am. I felt like that's not how I would speak to not just you, anyone. I want to talk to you. I want to hug you. I want to kiss you. I want to tell you sexual things, like, but I know it's not benefiting me, and that is so emotionally heavy and honestly physically exhausting to proactively do. When you see someone or they call you or they text you, I always have to flick on my eyes and I put on my glasses and say, how do I approach this? I can't just respond, do you understand? So we had a conversation, this was the last one, and I said, okay, I'm going to go now, but we're on the phone. I'll be honest, maybe I was too sharp. It was about fucking 28 seconds. And he was like, why? And I was like, you obviously have nothing to say, and I'm not talking to someone who doesn't have anything to say to me, or that doesn't want to talk to me. And he went, I do want to talk to you, give me a second, it's been 28 seconds. And then I was like, so go ahead, talk. Maybe I was a bit harsh, but at this point I'd had enough of all of it. And he's like, shit, what the fuck's wrong with you? Da, 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 da. I'm like, well, I'm just sick of carrying your side of this. Carry my side of it. La, 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 la. And I say it like that. He's not like that, but you know, it feels like that in my ear. Like, he's a bit knee-jerky first, and then he's like, he quickly pulls himself back. He's like, carry my side. Okay, tell me what you think I'm carrying. Well, it feels like if I don't show up for you, you're not going to show up. I disagree. Okay, so tell me, if I didn't come to you in XYZ situation, would you have come? Eventually is very key. It's key, mate. It's absolute key. And although I know you don't work the same way as me, that's okay, but you're not working towards working similarly to me, and actually it feels like you're working against me. He kind of went silent. And if I'm honest, that didn't even need to even go like that, but it didn't feel final. It felt like I was just getting my frustration out. But then he kept pushing. He kept not pushing, but like saying, so what are you trying to say? I'm not emotionally intelligent. I said, no. I don't think you're emotionally available. I think you're emotionally undeveloped. And I think your coping mechanism of putting things under the rug. Guess what? I've just tripped over the rug. I bang my head now, and now I'm upset about it. And then he's like, oh, you're getting me pissed now. I'm like, oh, you're pissed? I thought, you know what? I'm not even going to correct him like I did before and say, tell me the other emotions you feel. Because I did tell my therapist at one point as well, I feel like I'm becoming his therapist accidentally. So I thought, let me match the language. So I said, I can get pissed too. Because one big thing that he has said to me since we reconnected is, you are so different. Your energy's so calm, and I'm like, I'm waiting for it not to be. I went, I can get pissed too. I'm not asking to get pissed. I went, ask me to get out of character. Like, I'll be honest, I was fed up this day, right? Because I'm sick of the silent treatment, and I felt like I almost knew what the silent. I knew it was coming at this point. I'm just like, a bit of a punishment. Do you know what I mean? Like, but again, I do think he knows he's punishing me a little bit, but I don't think he's doing it to control me. I think he's doing it to control the dynamic. I think that is so important. Sometimes when we see behaviours that don't necessarily work best for us or in our best interest, we immediately catastrophize. You know the word. How do I say that word? How do I say catastrophize? See, didn't even need Siri. Siri, go off. Anyway, we immediately catastrophize the situation and take it from like this level to here, and we're like this fleeing, running victim. I think he does know he's punishing me a bit more than he's letting on. But if I'm being completely honest, I honestly think he's trying to save himself. I honestly believe that. So I think I almost blew I was like, get me acting out of character on this phone! I'll be honest, I thought this is not even crazy. He's seen me be crazy 10 years ago. Don't get me started. And I have said to him every time he's told me like, oh my God, you're just so calm. It's making me a bit unnerved. Because I'm like, I don't recognise this version of you. And I always say to him, I feel like you like that version of me because you know what to do with it. And I'm not disrespecting the women you've been with before, but I feel like they fit a certain stereotype of like, blah, 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 scream, shout. Like, I'm not doing all that. I will not fight with you today. I'll be honest, I thought I'm going to give you what you've been asking for. Honestly, I pop off just only a little bit though, like 2 out of 10. And I can feel him getting uncomfortable, and then I'm like, you tell me! And like, he's actually trying to tell me. I'm like, no, you tell me! Tell me again, because I didn't hear you. Like, that's how I'm going on. And I can feel him getting insecure, and then I hear his mate say something. Oh my God. His mate said something, and I know he was trying to save face. He said something back to his mate. I don't know what, I don't even, he could have said, this is the love of my life. I don't know what he said. But when he said it, I said, you what? He went, nothing, just go on, tell me what you said, I'm listening. I thought, no, now you're getting me fucked up. Now you're getting me fucked up. Now it feels like you're trying to drag me out of my character for you to feel comfortable in yours. Now this is not love or lust. This is, you want me to sacrifice myself so you feel comfortable. I must have asked that man 6, 7 times, tell me what he said. He didn't tell me anything. I tell him, you know what? And I am a bit of a name caller, but not in an abusive way. Like, I am, but you fucking idiot, like that kind of thing. I don't call this man names. Because he doesn't bring that part out of me. You know what I'm saying? I thought, I've had enough. I went, you bunch of motherfucking clowns. Get the fuck off my phone. I'm leaving this conversation. Okay, I'll call you tomorrow. Don't call me tomorrow. Don't call me tomorrow. But you know why I said don't call me tomorrow? Not because I didn't want to hear from him. I didn't want to repeat a cycle that I've already repeated what feels like 3 times in 9 months. Or 7 months, sorry. I thought, this cycle is crazy to me. And then he didn't call me. And then Wednesday come, he didn't call me. And the longer he left it, the more my anxiety began to build. But not like, is he ever going to call me? Like, I was dreading this first phone call, but not because of how it would go. I was dreading how I'd feel, because when we'd first get on the phone, he'd be like, tell me how you are. And I know he just skirted past it, and it becomes hurtful at first. And then I just lean into whatever he's giving me, and I'm just like, this is great again. But that is so unhealthy. That is so beyond unhealthy. Like, and again, I'm not justifying for this person. I truly believe in my heart of hearts, he does not know a healthy relationship. But that doesn't mean that I should enter an unhealthy one with him. Meet me at my level, because I'm not coming down to yours. So he didn't ring me. He didn't ring me, and I gave myself a time frame. I said, if you don't ring me after X amount of days, I'm just going to remove all contact, and I'm going to send an email. I'm an email gal now. I've learned through this divorce of mine. Send an email. I sent an email, and part of the email was like, I'm not angry. I'm not upset. I'm just accepting what is, and what is doesn't work for me. Part of the email was, talking about, I didn't want it to be a blameful email. I definitely didn't want it to feel finger pointing. So I tell him in the email, I'm not abandoning you as a person, but what I am doing is stepping out of this dynamic. It holds no value. It gives me no value anymore. And I sent that email. And when I sent the email, he began to call, and that broke my heart even more. Because I just thought, why do I have to constantly get to breaking point with these motherfuckers for them to hear me and to see me and to give me the basic respect that I'm giving you for free? Like, I've never asked you to prove your point to me. So they kept ringing me. I didn't answer. But I'll be honest, this sounds so dramatic. It sounds so dramatic. But this person's had such a weight on my heart for 10 years. 10 fucking years. Like, this is harder than my divorce. It really is. I'm telling you. Like, the first call, my heart was like, boom. Like, I just felt like, I just wanted to answer and say, not now. Like, I just wanted to, I knew that answering would put me back into the dynamic. And when I say that, don't think this person's really calculated and manipulative and would get me on the phone and make me question everything I've just thought. He wouldn't. But what would happen is, we'd probably address it lightly. We'd reconnect again just naturally. And then you get it's like a bit of a high, isn't it? You get this high from this person that they start giving you when you get along with somebody that well, and there's emotional and physical and mental and sexual attraction. Pick your battles is what you start thinking. But on the last call he rang me, I didn't answer, and I thought, oh my god. Then I started questioning, will I regret this? Is he gonna whatever? Is he gonna this? Like, what about if he's just not in the, again, capacity? He's just got this beautiful tool bag, and I've assumed because he's got a beautiful tool bag with diamantes across it that he's a handyman. I've assumed that he's well equipped to do my plumbing and my electrics, but actually if you open the tool bag, there's nothing in there but a pack of tissues. And that's not me demeaning or diminishing or devaluing the person. That's me giving you a metaphor for their emotional capacity, and he doesn't have any. And whilst he doesn't have any, I have to carry it for him. And you know how much of a sad situation it is? Like, now I still haven't spoken to the person. I'm not open to having any more phone calls. I feel like I'm eventually going to have to go. Oh, I'm going to have to see this person, but not to talk, just to listen. But I feel that by the time I do that, I'm already so far gone, and What breaks my heart is I really will be there just to listen and leave and never look back again. And that is I know that will be the point that he understands the weight of his actions or lack of. And at that point it's too late, isn't it? But you know what I'm sad about the most? And it's not like, yeah, I am sad about the man, of course, but I feel like I'm mourning a version of myself. I feel like I'm just like, this, for 10 years, what I thought I was holding on to with him. Fucking hell. That was a part of myself, do you know what I mean? It was like an unfinished part of myself. Fucking hell. And what's happening is, or what I feel like is happening is, expectations was just met with reality, and not even with the man. Just what I thought, you know what I mean? I'm just not that person anymore. I'm not in that headspace anymore. I've learned so much from that marriage. I've learned, like, love doesn't mean sacrifice, honestly. It really doesn't. Love does not mean, and I'm not saying like, on the days where you're 20, your partner doesn't become 80, and the days where they're 10, you don't become 90. That does happen, but those are days, and again, you flip and you flop. But I've also then started to blame myself, feeling like, well, I'm no better than him, because I did this in my marriage. Then I started feeling a bit like, but why did my person stay? And I feel like this is intolerable. And I'm like, because one thing I didn't do is I didn't abandon him. I might have had knee-jerk reactions. I might have like, no, I said, it's like a Somali thing, that, sorry. I might have been like, ugh, you know what I mean, like, not now, get away, I don't want to do this today. But I'm still standing in front of you, I'm still listening to you, even if my body's not responding to it. And him giving me silent treatment unlocked a part of me and a trauma in me that I didn't even know I had. This fear of abandonment, this self-value thing. Because when it first happened, you start thinking, what could I have said differently? Or what did I say wrong? And then you go to like self-blame. Not self-blame, self-value. What about it? What about me is not enough for this person to give me bare minimum? And then you start realising there's nothing to do with the person. It's nothing to even do with your connection. It really is a capacity thing. So yeah. I'm just like, I'm sad. I'll be honest, I am sad. But I'm sad in so many more contexts than I've lost my teenage sweetheart. Because do I think this person's going to reach out again even though I've ignored them? Yeah, I do. But I've given myself boundaries on how and when, or if I will ever reciprocate or respond. And these boundaries are pretty tight. And you don't know these boundaries exist, you being him. So you're probably not going to meet these boundaries if I was to tell you, giving you a set of rules. You're either going to perform to them or you're going to withdraw further. So I'm not going to tell you these boundaries. But if he does meet any of these boundaries for us to have a conversation, the conversation I said I'm willing to have face to face, there's one conversation and one conversation only. And I'm leaving it there, and I'm not saying never. I mean, I'm telling you guys this, I'm not going to say this to him, but I'm not saying never, but I know the amount of self-work that he has to do now, emotionally, to even get near where I'm at emotionally. This is not a month thing. It's not a 6-month thing, it's not a year thing. And that's why I'm so sad. Because I don't have a year or 2 years for someone to get it together. I don't. And even if I did, I wouldn't advise you. Because there's no guarantee they'll get it together. And I know it took me, no one ever said to me once, you're emotionally unavailable, do this. My ex-husband never said, you need to work, he never. But I know when the change happened, I remember it took me about 5 years to really step out of the emotional triggers and responses that I was acting within. I'm like, fuck me, I know mine was about 5 years. I ain't got 5 years. You ain't got 5 years, you're old as fuck. No, he's not old as fuck, but you know, you're older than me by being a bit silent. because I'm dealing with this. And again, not just like over a man. Please don't. I hope no one watches the whole hour of this and tells me she's crying over a man that was her husband. No, I'm crying I'm crying over a possibility that it's very much possible, but you just couldn't meet me at. I'm crying over a reality that I thought could have been true. This is just not true. And the only way it can be true is if I sacrifice myself. And if I sacrifice myself, I'm basically entering the same dynamic that I just left. I'm mourning the fact that I'm aware of that as well now. Because I'm mourning the fact that I spent a long time in my life where I wasn't aware of that. And how many sacrifices I made for someone else just for them to reciprocate what I was already giving them. But I'm also leaning into it, man. I'm leaning into it like, I hate to be all like fucking voodoo and shit, or fucking horoscope and shit, but it's the year of the snake, it's the year of the shedding, and boy, I've shed. And if I've cut off 2 people in 1 year with that amount of emotional and mental weights that they've had over me, those 2 men, if they both dropped in this year, man, next year must be a great friggin' year, okay? Oh my god. Okay. The boundaries I have set in place, in case some of you are like, what's the boundary? I'm not doing any more calls, because when you're in calls, they have more control over the conversation. I say they, I don't want to put them in a criteria of people like they're evil people, they're not. But that kind of person has more control, and when they have more control, they grow more comfortable. And when they grow more comfortable, they're not going to be accountable. Do you know what I mean? And accountability is key here, and this is what we've been missing this whole time. So if he emails me back, because he can't text me, can't Snapchat me, there's no way, which he will not want to do. I know he won't want to do. I know he won't want to do, because he's not like a type person. He once sent me a big message and he was like, never make me do this again, like just answer the phone, like, I know. If he emails me back and I see some kind of accountability or acknowledgement for his behaviour and his impact to me because of the back of his behaviour and where he went wrong and what he could do next time, then I'll go and sit in front of his face and let him tell me all that verbally, and I'll still stand on what I'm saying to you guys today. If it's you don't understand because you blah blah blah, blah, he's getting left on red. Well, it's email, so it's not red unless he sends a fucking receipt report. Which I'm pretty sure he won't do, but you know, I'm just taking the piss. And on a positive note, don't think I'm sitting here moaning, whatever. I'm doing DIY, trying to get this house together. I'm going speed dating this weekend, and not because I'm looking for another man. I just want to be 20-something. Don't forget, I spent all my 20s married. So these speed dating things, I'll be honest, I'm like, oh no. I really hope there's not potential there. I don't want the potential. I'm going for a laugh, do you know what I mean? So we're going speed dating. Fucking hell, I've been sitting here for hours, I gotta go. I'm going speed dating and I'm going out. And if he emails me and he says that, then I'll meet him once. And if he doesn't, I'll keep it moving. But one thing I do know is whether he thinks about it now, later, or in another lifetime, he will know. This moment will hit him eventually. And even if this moment never hits him or he never reached out to me, just for you guys listening, I mean, for this guy, I'm almost certain he's going to reach out to me again. I'm almost certain of it. You're going to think I'm delusional. You're probably going to ask me, did he ever reach out? I'll tell you the truth. He will absolutely reach out to me again. But for those people who have them fearful avoidance, who just don't reach out at all and absolutely choose their pride and their ego and their withdrawals and their safety over you, that does not value you. It does not take away from the value of you. It does not take away from what they may have thought or seen of you and the things that they might have said to you, the nice things, the kind things. It genuinely just removes their capacity to meet you anywhere near where you need to be. And you might have yourself guessing 100 times, like, maybe your standards are not too high. They're not too high. They're actually pretty reachable for someone who wants to reach them. And you know what? If you have got a fearful avoidant who is working on it, work with them. Because my issue is not that he's a fearful avoidant that I've now realised. I've realised that his lack of acknowledgement of his coping mechanism skills is only impacting me. It's not impacting him. And I'm not even the one with the issue. But if he came and he was working on it, and I could see that he's working on it, not for a week, not for a month, not for a year, like I just told you, I stand on that. I can work with you. I can't work for you. Okay? So that's it. It was deep. Hope it's not scatty. I really tried to make it not scatty. I really have to go though and get my kids because I've been sitting here for so freaking long. And you know what, like, in regards to my teenage sweetheart, one thing I'm going to say is, I have to throw a joke in, I have to. You know how hard it is to give up your best eater? This man flings wood. You know, that alone delayed the process by 3 working days. I gotta go. Let me know if you want me to tell you about how this pans out. But this is not a short-term thing. I'm giving him a timescale to meet me where I'm at in regards to the conversation. What the conversation is the conversation. There's nothing he can't turn up on a horse tomorrow and change my mind in regards to re-entering that dynamic the way it was, and he can't change it overnight, even if he prays to. He cannot. It's not going to change overnight. So I need to not enter that dynamic again. But I've given him a timescale in regards to how long he's got to reach out to me, to speak. If he goes past this certain point, I'm not even open for a conversation or to even let you have a conversation with me and I listen. Because at that point, this is less about emotional avoidancy and more about choice and control. And that doesn't make you a malicious person or an evil person, but can only be so empathetic, sir. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, let me go. Let me go get my kids. And I suppose I got the heartbreak that I was wishing for, yay. Yeah!